Hi guys, I'm Shmi. Hello and welcome back to the channel where today you join me at RUF in Germany as part of the annual Where's Shmi Euro Tour, this year in my Ferrari GTC4 Lasso. But today is all about this, the RUF CTR, the rebirth of a legend. Now you might be familiar with the 1980s Yellowbird. This is RUF's modern interpretation, a car of which they're only going to be making 50 units, but entirely developed by them. There's a carbon fibre monocoque, the only carbon fibre monocoque car in the world that has a rear engine, their own 3.6 litre twin turbocharged flat 6. They've also developed a 7-speed manual gearbox, the entire bodywork out of carbon fibre. The wet weight is only 1,250 kilos. Well, today in my pocket I just so happen to have the keys because they very kindly invited me to take the car for a first drive to experience what it's like, the emotion, the history, the reason for its introduction, and I cannot wait. So let's take a look then, introduce the new CTR, and then go out for a drive to see what it's like. Where you join me now then is RUF's home here in Pfaffenhausen. Behind me we've got the showroom with another prototype of the new CTR inside, as well as one of the older cars. That side you have the workshops where these cars are assembled, and also where lots of refurbishment is being done to some of the older models, and well, some other pretty special stuff like this, a CTR 3 just emerging from where they have the Porsche service department over the other way. But what we're going to do now is actually to move the new CTR just into this area here for two reasons. One, we're right next to a very busy roundabout with lots of trucks going past, but two, just lurking inside is the original number 0, the prototype, the Yellowbird itself. We can pop the two together and I can introduce you a little bit more to the new car, why it exists, what's so special about it, before we go for a drive. To take it around then, that means we get a start up. Take a listen to this, it's a pretty good sounding engine. The main purpose then behind moving the new car, to have it here with its ancestor, the original 1987 CTR, the car that back in the 80s was actually the fastest car in the world. Now there's a pretty famous video with this very machine on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. It's the original prototype, the number 0 you could say, and also on my last visit here I jumped on board that car with Alois RUF himself to get an experience of what it was about. Now the Yellowbird nickname through which it's so famous didn't actually come from RUF themselves. That was named by Road and Track magazine, but this car, the new one, was launched in 2017 at the Geneva Motor Show as a 30th anniversary tribute to the original. They planned to build 30 units of them, but due to how much request there was for it from customers, and with the consent of the original 30 customers, that number's been expanded out to 50. But let me show you around now and talk about what makes this car quite so special. It's all entirely work developed by them in-house. In fact, the whole car is the exact same length as the previous generation, but with a wheelbase that is 7 centimeters longer. That's been done by moving the rear wheels backwards by 5 centimeters, the front wheels forwards by 2 centimeters, and of course having to adjust various parts of the bodywork to make that possible. So the glasshouse area, the windows, the side windows, not those rear quarter windows, is all exactly as before. The bodywork is entirely carbon fibre. So if, for example, we come in here, this is one piece of carbon around the entirety of that back of the car, the roof over the top. It's very, very light. The wet weight is only 1,250 kilos in entirety for this. That is, to put it into perspective, that's significantly lighter than any of the more automated modern supercars that you might find out there. And that's thanks in part to the 90 kilo carbon fibre monocoque. So if we just have a look inside here, you can see how the entirety of this car is built around this carbon fibre frame. Immensely strong, immensely lightweight, and housing the rear engine, the only rear-engined car with a carbon fibre monocoque in the world. And the engine itself is actually pretty special to take a look at. If I just pull this and open it up so we can come round here, lift up from the ducktail spoiler here and have a look inside. It is a work of art. RUF's own development, a 3.6 litre twin turbocharged flat 6. It makes 710 horsepower, 950 newton meters or so, and this being the prototype, of course it's not the final car, I should stress that as well at this point, has already done 359 kilometers per hour on the autobahns in testing. So what we're looking at is a car that will do 225, 230 miles per hour or so, including having a third pedal and a 7-speed manual gearbox that they've developed with ZF as well. For that to handle, of course, an awful lot of torque as well. So the car is immensely significant. What it represents, where it comes from, what it's about. If you look around at the design work itself, yes, it vaguely resembles a 964 or an older car, but it isn't. I have to stress this, it isn't. It's their own tub underneath, their own bodywork. And for example, around the outside, to keep the narrow body Porsche look, they've actually had to enlarge the muscular shapes around the shoulder line so that the arches don't stick out too far, because it has a wider track to be able to put that power down to house those wider wheels and tyres that it has inside. These aren't the final wheel design that's actually going to be going on the car. Up front, a small amount of storage space as well, but they've added their own modernised LED headlights as well, the daytime running lights that you can see. And again, prototype car, not final. This car has actually already done 50,000 kilometres undergoing testing. So let me just close this down for a moment, give it a click into place. You can actually get a great view through to the engine, and that orange section, by the way, is a tribute back to the engine cover found in the previous car. So if we head back inside, I'm going to take a step in and show you a little bit more about this, but the interior has had some updates in the final version, but still retains the traditional 911 style 5 dials in front of you. This has all been changed for the new car, but gear shift, it's about driving position. Steering wheel dead straight in front of you, the key slot on the left hand side where you bring it into life, and you have that sense of power that comes from the noise it makes. What a sound, what a feeling. So, I think this might be enough talking for the time being. I think it's time to take this out. I can't believe I'm saying that. To take this out, even with that background, which is pretty special as well, to experience a first drive in the new CTR. Let me get belted up then. This is the CTR. This is a car that I've definitely been looking forward to driving since it was introduced, and the reason they had to make more of them was simply down to how many people wanted to get their hands on the RUF CTR. This is a car that's been kind of awaited, but here it is, and away we go. So I've got to get a feel for what I'm doing. There are some amazing roads around here actually to experience it on. Hopefully I'll get a break in the traffic and be able to head on out towards the countryside, but no stalling it right now. That's certainly the dream. Okay, here we go. Oh, listen to that sound. The rawness of it. I also have to be very aware of the value of it, but the torque, it effortlessly pulls away with the torque, and it feels very comfortable to drive. Into 5th gear, we can go up to 6th, then 7th. Just getting a feel. So in 6th gear, yeah, even in 6th gear I can feel the torque. Nice pop there as well. Into 7th gear, and 7th gear in this is not an overdrive. 7th gear is where max speed is. So if you want to go 360 kilometers per hour, that's going to be the gear to do it. So it feels, you've got this old school feel looking out of the glass, the familiarity of the windows and what's around you. But then it's an entirely modern car, an entirely new car. This is not the old car that you might think it is purely from the shape. Now to drop some gears, get used to the pattern of the gearbox, down to 5th, down to 4th, flip the shifts, feel the torque. Oh, I can feel those turbos. I mean, 700 horsepower, all going through the rear with a manual gearbox. This is definitely something that, let's say it was wet, you would need to engage your brain and concentrate on what you're doing. It feels so cool. You've got so much visibility around you. Obviously the car is rigid with the chassis, with the monocoque. Up a gear, tells me what gear I'm in front of me. Yeah, it's just, so far, feels super nice. I'm just playing, just getting a feel, just going to do a loop around, a little experience with the car. It feels like the steering ratio is incredibly tight. This is a small movement. You have to be delicate with the drive. Wow. I'm sure a lot of people don't necessarily know the significance of this car, but in the automotive world, it's an absolute icon. Oh, the original CTR was an absolute icon, so there's a lot of pressure on the shoulders of this to live up to what that represented. With that video at the Nürburgring, with the speed and performance capabilities that it offered back at the time, with our first bit of tighter cornering around the roundabout here, yeah, it sits very flat as you'd expect for a carbon fibre tubbed car. Now we've got some nice corners, feed in the power. Oh, this is the emotion of driving. That's what this is about. And my word, you can tell that's what it's for. absolutely, I mean, you feel so connected. You feel connected. It's not hard to drive. The brake pedal, I should have pointed out, immensely sensitive. Takes some delicate driving, but it feels like a car that you warm into. You don't just go out and absolutely thrash it off the line. I'm just cruising out for a nice drive, having a good time. Let's drop down some gears, slow down a touch. We've got the road all to ourselves. I love blipping these shifts. There's a long clutch pedal, a long way to push your foot down into second gear. Wow, up towards 7,000 RPM or so. The red line is at about 7,400 in this car. Remember, it's the prototype. It's done 50,000 kilometers in various different guises and stages while they've been developing. They've just delivered the first customer car as well, so exciting times, hugely significant for Alois and his team. I love this. It's easy to position, it's small, it's nimble, and you get those sounds as well. It's throaty, it's a deep engine sound, a deep rumble going on behind you. Just taking it, like I said, for a little loop around here. We'll head this way. And it's bright yellow, it's very, very yellow. Of course, the local roads around here, the RUF cars are well known. Wow. Okay. Let's take first gear then. You have this sensation that you're driving a much older car than you are. It's that old school motoring feel, but modernised. So this is a new car, an immensely powerful and capable car, but one that's built with the ethos in terms of the mentality of experience of the older cars, but not in terms of the technology. And with the road opening up, the floor going down, whoa! It just so happens that it's really fast as well. Really, really fast. I mean, you would expect it to be. It sounds so cool as well. I'm just slowing down more than I need to for fun, just to experience a bit of the power delivery. There it comes. What a lovely place to be driving, with a massive beam on my face. Yeah, it's really, really special. Okay, there's some wind noise from the mirrors. There's a slightly more vertical window that a more modern car might have for aerodynamic reasons, but they've created something of their own. They've done this whole project, no doubt years and years in the making behind the scenes, but it transforms to a proper driving experience. The steering is actually fascinating. The tiny inputs you make as we meander along these countryside roads through the farmlands, with their kind of matching smells as well, I'm going to add at this point. But this, I mean, this is automotive perfection, isn't it? Let's enjoy the open road then. Up to the red line. It's very, very fast. This car is insanely fast. But if you chill out with it, it's also quite relaxing to drive. It's how do I describe this? You can see I'm a little bit lost for words. It's something you don't really get in a modern car anymore, and clearly the 50 owners of these are incredibly lucky individuals to be able to drive them and enjoy them, and I hope they do. I hope they do take them out and drive them. But just my first experience of it, it's not a car you feel that you have to be going flat out in. You don't have the pressure that you must be foot to the floor. It's actually really quite enjoyable even when you're just driving, when you're not trying to go Mach 10. And that's something that a lot of modern cars actually lose. They become, I mean, it's not that this isn't quick, but cars become so quick that to drive them normally at road speeds is no longer fun. This is still very much fun, even driving at these kind of speeds. So it's ticking a lot of boxes in one very, very special package, and we've not even seen everything. I think we're going to be able to take a visit at what's going on to see more of the underpinnings and the base of the car as well, before you see it decked out in all of the bodywork as well when we get back. But for me, I'm just having a great time enjoying this drive. engine sound. What I can show you at this stop is something that you wouldn't normally be able to see. This is the early stages, the carbon fibre coming together. I'm going to get to that car in a second, but just here is the carbon fibre monocoque, the chassis, the strength, the base of the car onto which it all comes together. The 90 kilo unit, so 2 people could pick this up. You can see how the seats are mounted, but nothing like, let's say, a Porsche 964 or something like that. This is completely the most modern of techniques to build the car around something so light yet so strong as well. Then this is what happens next. The car comes up here onto, or the chassis I should say, comes up here onto this jig where there are lots of measurements taken to ensure it all comes together. And this single large carbon piece that I talked about earlier, that's actually called the hat, is all put into place, all the measurements taken and ensured that they're all correct. You can also see a few other bits and pieces are coming together, the structure around the front, and here on the rear deck, something that's quite interesting. The old air-cooled Porsches needed to get air in through those openings that you have on the spoiler. In the case of this car, where the air comes into the intercoolers through there, air needs to be taken out. And what that means is these are actually inverted. They would be the opposite way round on the older cars as they are, as opposed to how they are here. But looking at this up close like this and seeing the components and getting a feel for how they come together is really something very, very special to be able to see this and know that that's going to become the full car that I've been enjoying today. How about this for an immensely special lineup? Back where we started earlier, the new CTR, the original CTR, that's the CTR2, that's the CTR3, then some other special cars from RUF as well, but this lineup with all of these and seeing these two side by side, as we did actually these exact 2 cars on my last visit here, truly, truly incredible. Let's just swing this back around towards the front though for some other things that are going to be happening back here to wrap things up. Back at the showroom then, and what an experience this has been with the new CTR, getting to drive it and get a feel for what this car is like, steeped in history like I said at the beginning. But here it is, the new take, the new tribute to the Yellowbird, the new Yellowbird we could call it. Remember that everything that's painted yellow is carbon fibre bodywork, the whole car developed by RUF, the headlights. These wheels aren't the final wheels, as I said. That car, which is just a rolling prototype, has the new production wheels on it that you can see in the background, the bright blue of that one. But this with the center locks, you've got the cooling here, the airflow into the intercoolers. There the air is also able to get in towards the engine. This is a new bit of glass, unlike the older 964 generation where it more came out to this size. But this is of course where they've had to put in the extra bodywork really to make it fit, and by extending and changing proportions to make it wider, for example, the tail lights are a few centimeters longer than the lights that you might be familiar with from other models, just to keep the proportions natural, to keep keep it looking like it should be. Now, a few things have changed from the first introduction. The ducktail spoiler has flattened out a bit just to take away some of the extra downforce that was at the rear, just squatting it down a touch too much, but it's all really very, very impressive. The lightest possible materials, a beautiful, beautiful thing, and a real driving experience as well. And inside, just to show you a little bit more in here, of course, like I said, a few things are changing and moving around here and there, but sitting on the carbon fibre tub, you can see the rawness right down at the bottom. This part of the dashboard will all change. Steering wheel and seats, yes, they're familiar. They're derived from Porsche seats, but a winning solution, and changed a little bit. Not the completely standard, given a new grip, a new shape. Then here the good old houndstooth material that's used for it. So, what an experience driving this has been. And while the door is open, I talked earlier about these larger shoulders, so that the narrow body doesn't seem quite so narrow. There is some extra width here to the door frame itself, just to fit neatly and make it look more appropriate and proportionally correct. Give it a firm close. But today, coming to RUF, driving this special, significant and iconic car, the bright yellow of the new modern take of the Yellowbird, a car that is such a driving experience to take it out as you've seen with me behind the wheel today. So it's a big thanks to the team here at RUF for making this car and making it possible for me to come and enjoy the drive in it. I hope you've enjoyed the video as well, getting a sense for what this is like. But that's it for this time. Thank you very much as always for watching, guys. I appreciate your support an awful lot, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers. 3, 2, 1.